There's something strangely beautiful about growing mushrooms. But despite the exotic nature of this urban farm in Logan in southeast Queensland, Simon Tang is on a mission to make all parts of his business homegrown.
We probably produce like from 2 to 3 tons every week, include like king oyster mushroom, and the shiitake mushrooms. Now we have 3 farms. One farm growing oyster mushroom, one farm growing like a shiitake mushroom, another farm more like a factory in Bundaberg.
It's not the mushrooms themselves being produced here in Bundaberg, but rather the special material required to grow premium exotic mushrooms. That's what prompted Simon Tang to settle on Bundy as the site for this factory. The key ingredient in this mushroom substrate comes from sugarcane processing. So where better to set up a manufacturing hub than the sugar city?
He sent me an email asking about growing mushrooms from Bagasse. Are you interested in supplying some? So we went, yep, no worries. We had some spare. Bagasse is the byproduct after we squeeze out all the sugar juice out of it. It's about 45% moisture, so we use that in our boilers to produce the steam which runs the whole process.
Simon Tang kind of fell into farming. The then computer engineer had been on holidays in China and visited a mushroom farm when his interest was piqued.
That gave me a very impressed, for mushroom. I say that's so cool, for mushroom can delicious and also healthy for people. So I think this should be a good idea, business idea to do that.
Mr. Tang started out small. He rented some space in a factory and began growing oyster mushrooms. But he didn't go in without a plan because that's not his style. This is a man dedicated to growing his mind as much as his mushrooms.
At that time, I had nothing to do. I don't know anything about the mushrooms, so that's why I invited a Chinese professor to come to Australia to teach me for 3 months.
Was there a lot to learn?
Oh, surely. We from the zero knowledge back to start to grow my background of the mushroom knowledge. Yeah, mushroom growing technologies, and slowly the inquiry for the mushroom is increased. So we try to think about expand our mushroom business.
Next, Simon purchased around 5 hectares to farm mushrooms and continued developing, trialling new species and different growing methods.
I changing Australian people from the button mushroom to more varieties mushroom. One thing is we give more people more choice, like a more healthy, more nutritious food choice.
But like lots of primary production, the pandemic posed significant struggles for the mushroom industry and Simon's business.
Especially in the COVID period, everything is changing. For example, normally the shipping container come here for 21 days. Maybe they take 2 months to come. Also, a lot of factories there, they stop, so they can't supply to you.
Specifically, the mushroom spores and the growing substrate were all imported from China. So when those imports weren't possible, production ground to a halt.
After that, I was thinking that maybe it's need to think about you grow everything locally in Australia can protect your business risk.
Simon had previously tried to find adequate supplies of local products that could be used as a mushroom substrate, but attempts to source either sawdust from the timber industry or cottonseed husk proved too difficult to come by and or maintain. So when Simon read about research into growing Asian mushrooms using sugarcane bagasse, he was keen to give it a go.
I said, whoa, that's a quite good idea, because in Queensland we got a lot sugar in the farm. Easy for us to get this sugarcane bagasse. So that's why I'm thinking we can try.
Winter is cane crushing season in Queensland, and at Bundaberg's Milliquin Mill, it's all systems go.
This season's looking like it's going to be a large season. We've got a record crop of 1.35 million tonnes, so it's 150,000 more than we've ever done. So it's going to be a challenging but exciting year.
The sugar industry generates more than $2 billion in export earnings annually. But volatile sugar prices and changing consumer demands provide ongoing challenges. So opportunities to value add are always worth considering.
This is where we store our excess bagasse.
All sugar mills run a little differently, but here they stockpile bagasse both on site and also on a nearby farm.
So we store this up during the crushing, and then in the non-crush we burn it, we reuse it so we can supply steam to the refinery.
The refinery runs all year round, so there's always a need for bagasse. Right now, there's about 500 tonnes in this stockpile. At times, it can grow as much as 8,000 tonnes. Some people think that bagasse is a waste product, but that's not actually the case.
It's definitely not a waste product. We use every part of it that we can.
This wasn't always the case, but sugar processing, like much of farming, has changed a lot over the years. And looking at ways to use their waste products, whether in the mill itself or to supplement other industries, has meant bagasse has become a valuable resource.
We've been around for over 100 years, so we're very efficient. We want to use everything that we can. And it saves us using coal later on, so we don't want to use coal. So we use bagasse and some wood chip as well, other products. And then if we have any excess stuff that we don't use that year, we do sell it to some other companies that use it in mulch and things like that.
Using sugarcane bagasse to grow mushrooms is definitely a little further outside of the ordinary. Funding from the federal government and research partnerships between several universities have all helped to grow the fledgling industry to this point.
Like CQU, we have a project with them that just try to find out the best recipe for growing oyster mushroom. At the moment, we're still testing our recipes.
Researchers have led extensive mushroom growing trials and spent time cultivating mushroom spores and developing different recipes using the sugarcane bagasse. They've also mixed in other waste products, including peanut shells from Kingaroy, and there's scope for branching out even further.
It's definitely exciting. We are trying to understand what is the development impact of such industry where the raw materials is close by, and how the supply chain will work on this area.
Once the substrate bags are composed, they're injected with the mushroom spores and then stored in incubation rooms for a couple of weeks. They grow rapidly, so it's not long before the success, or otherwise, of the substrate materials being trialled becomes obvious.
There's a bit more to go.
Yeah. How long do you think we still...
I think we got another week on that one.
So there's a big difference with this technology.
When they first started out growing the oyster mushrooms using the sugarcane bagasse, they were only harvesting about 50 grams per grow bag. Over time, they've refined the process, and now they're harvesting up to 300 grams using the bagasse as the growing medium. Right now, Simon sells the exotic mushrooms he grows into major markets in Brisbane and Sydney, as well as to other local markets, Asian grocers and specialty restaurants. But his hope is that he can supply the bagasse grow bags to more people, and in doing so, increase the number of mushroom growers. The more growers he can support, Simon believes, the better the Australian industry will become.
They can get the mushroom bags from our factory, and then they can produce it in the local backyard to grow mushroom very easy.
They're producing up to 10,000 substrate bags a week, but they have the capacity to scale that number up significantly.
We've got the only bagging machine in Australia that produces bags without hand packing. So we can produce 10,000 bags if needed. We can produce 20,000 bags if needed. No one else can do that.
From start to finish, this process requires no chemicals. So once the bags have been used to grow mushrooms and they're spent, they're still able to be used for fertiliser. The operation employs 15 people across the factory, the farms and in packing and delivery. And there's room to grow in Bundaberg.
We purchased the land, it's 8,000 square meters, so we still got space to expand, so that's quite good.
If they attract more investment in this area, then definitely we will actually revolutionize this whole mushroom industry in Australia.
Expanding may mean sourcing more sugarcane bagasse, but that shouldn't be a problem. The scale at which it's required for growing mushrooms has little bearing on operating the mill.
It's only a small amount. It's only a couple of 100 tonnes of bagasse.
Simon Tang believes it's worth investing in, both for his business and the broader industry of exotic mushroom growers, as well as for Bundaberg and beyond.
I always thinking how can make my business become outstanding or become more advanced in the industry. That's why I use a lot of time to search in new technologies to find out the way how we can make it better.